Hi guys, veteran time, I guess. Just want to say a few things. First of all, Lisa James, you are Andy McKnight or you are Pudge. You are not a girl, and I call you on this. And I delete everything you send me. You notice I haven't responded in like a month, and it all goes to the trash. So say what you want, Pudge slash Andy, whoever you are, Lisa, whatever name is, Lisa James. You're not even a girl, much less Lisa James. You're a dude and you're a hater. And I don't respond, and it all goes to the trash. So, I can't say much because it's YouTube, but you know what I mean. See ya, Lisa James. Wow, amazing I ever fell for that crap. But that's not what I wanted to say on this. That was just a side thing. I want to do more of a tribute than I've done to my guitar teacher, Tom Franks, that taught me the last 2 years of high school. First 2 years I played guitar from 15 to 17. He was my teacher. And one thing I never mentioned, even to myself, I never acknowledged this, but it was true. It was really cool about him. I mean, I mentioned it, but I didn't go on about it. I didn't give him tribute for it. When I'd been playing about a year, and here's to you, Lisa James. Watch me comb my hair, which she puts me down for. When I've been playing a year, so I was 16, and I could play Eruption, and I could play Beat It, and I could play. Wait, Beat It hadn't come out yet. It didn't come out till 1984, but I was able to play Beat It later when it did come out. But I was able. I was playing Eruption and Spanish Fly, and Van Halen solos. I did solos for I'm the One. I knew Van Halen pretty well after a year playing guitar. And Tom Franks did a badass move. He didn't just go with that and go, well, you're going to be an Eddie Van Halen clone, dude. He didn't do that. And every other guitar teacher probably would have done that, or wouldn't have handled me right. But he did the badass thing that was right for me. He said, Jimmy, I have a feeling that you're headed for something that's even beyond rock and roll. I have a thing here called fusion, Fusion. He didn't spell it. I'm spelling it for you guys. I mean, that's probably unnecessary. You guys know what fusion is. And I'd never even heard of it, much less heard it. And he gave me 2 tapes with a record. I mean, it was one tape on each side. You had 45 minutes on each side, and there were 90-minute tapes. That's hence 45 minutes on each side. One side was the first UK album, well, the only UK album that actually officially came out, called UK. And the second side, or first side, whichever side was the other side, was Romantic Warrior by Return to Forever with Al Di Meola on guitar, and UK had Alan Holdsworth on guitar. So he was throwing me in a different direction, and first of all, no other teacher would have done that, and second of all, no other kid but me would have really handled that right. Every other kid but me probably would have been thrown off guitar or thrown into the wrong direction or screwed up in guitar, but not me. And yet he was the one teacher that would do that. And I thank you, Tom, because what I did was I listened to both of them, Return to Forever with Al Di Meola, UK with Alan Holdsworth. And funny thing, the first thing that hit me was, wow, Return to Forever is really cool. Al Di Meola really plays fast. I like that. For about 2 weeks or a week, maybe, week or two, that impressed me. And for that first week or two, the UK with Alan Holdsworth sounded boring. It was kind of boring to me at first. And then I flipped around. I shifted gears or something and decided, well, Al Di Meola is just an asshole, and his playing all sounds the same, and it all sounds like a bunch of fast picking. So what? And then I listened with fresh ears, or maybe new ears, or whatever, to UK with Alan Holdsworth, and that was it. I was addicted. I just loved Alan Holdsworth for like the next. I was 16 when that happened, and I loved him till 87, so that would make 4 years, but that's a lot of time for a young kid playing guitar. From playing guitar 1 year to playing guitar for, did I say 4 years? Wait, yeah. From playing guitar 1 year to playing guitar for 5 years, that's 4 years. I was just totally a Holdsworth fanatic. And then in 87, when I quit Harvey Mudd, I shifted another year and went back to Randy Rhoads as my main influence, which I've had since, except I don't have it anymore. Randy's a great player, but he's not my main influence anymore. If I had to say, if you put a gun in my head, I would probably say shoot me. But no, if you put a gun in my head, I would either say Jimi Hendrix or Alan Holdsworth. I'm not sure which. And those are extreme ends of the spectrum. But hey, what do you want? Because one side of me is getting into Alan Holdsworth, and the other side of me just goes back to the improv and the vibe of Jimi Hendrix. Those are my two main influences right now, Alan Holdsworth and Jimi Hendrix. They both start with H, and they're both famously the only guitarists that were really ever acknowledged to be better than Eddie Van Halen. Wow, isn't that something? Because Hendrix was better because he came first, and he was even more innovative. Say most people. Some people say Eddie, but most people say Hendrix. And then on the other hand, Alan Holdsworth was Eddie Van Halen's idol. Hence, your idol is usually better than you are, and Alan was considered better than better than Eddie also. But Eddie, you're great. But that's a badass move, Tom, that you did. Tom did for me after 1 year throwing me the bone of Al Di Meola and Alan Holdsworth. That's what I needed. My mind needed to chomp on something more than what I was doing with rock and roll. Because with rock and roll in 1983, there wasn't even the shred hadn't even come out. There wasn't even a Paul Gilbert to do. There wasn't even an Yngwie yet. Well, there was an Yngwie, but I didn't know about him. I mean, basically in 1983 he had one album called Steeler. That wasn't where I was at. But thanks, Yngwie. I mean, I love you, Yngwie, but that wasn't a thing for me, and it hadn't really happened full scale on this guitar spectrum yet. Because his first album, Rising Force, didn't come out till '84, and that was still another year later. So I didn't really have Yngwie to go to. If it had been a couple years later, Tom would have thrown me a different bone, maybe. But at the time, it was Al Di Meola and Alan Holdsworth, and I appreciate that. That's badass. And I needed that. I needed to do something else with my mind and hands than just what every other kid was into. And it's funny, kind of funny situations, about the last year of high school, and the first 3 years of Harvey Mudd, me being this Alan Holdsworth dude. And nobody got it, You guys get that now? Now that it's 30, 50 years later? Nobody got that. Nobody got me. Nobody understood. What's this wacky kid? What do you mean Alan Holdsworth? Who the heck is this kid? Yet I stood up for him. I stood up for Alan. I stood up for Alan when he was no one to everybody else around me, and I didn't care. I stood up for what I believed in, and I loved Alan Holdsworth. For 3 years of college and for the last year of high school, there was this kid, Dennis Hill, was in a band called Toy Fox, which was my high school's rock band. I wasn't in it because, like I said, Dennis Hill was in it, and Dennis Hill had long blonde hair, and he was all into Randy Rhoads, which is funny because I was going to end up having long hair, and I was going to end up being into Randy Rhoads. I didn't see that coming, but whatever. And he was no good at school. He was focusing on school because he was afraid he was going to be a bum. He was afraid he was going to drop out of school. And he probably did. He might have done. I don't know. I don't accuse anybody of that. But I was this short-haired guy with brown hair. And Alan Holdsworth, by the way, has short brown hair, and Randy Rhoads has long blonde hair. And I didn't really think of that till right now, in fact. But whatever. I'm not sure I thought of it. I didn't really think of it until it came out right now. But we'd talk a little bit. Now I was great in school. I was going to be like, I was headed for Harvey Mudd College, and yet I kind of envied him for being in Toy Fox. We kind of like wanted to switch roles or something. But we'd talk for a second. I talked to Dennis Hill, and I'd say, "Yeah, Dennis, you're into Randy, huh? That's cool. Yeah. What are you into, Jim?" No, or maybe I would just offer. I would say, "Yeah, I'm into Alan Holdsworth," and he would look at me and go, "Yeah, he plays some weird shit, dude." like I was weird for even liking Alan Holdsworth in 1984 when Dennis Hill was in Toy Fox, my high school's rock band. But he didn't put me down. He just looked at me and said, "He plays weird shit." It wasn't a put down really. It was just I don't understand it, or it goes over his head. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was a slight put down. But everybody used to always compare us. Not always. Not everybody always does anything, but lots of people were comparing the two of us. We were the best guitarists in my high school. I famously, one day I got when I was like I was six. It was like I was 16. Yeah, I was 16. So it wasn't even my Alan Holdsworth days yet. I was probably a junior. And I got permission from every single one of my teachers of my classes to bring my acoustic guitar into the classroom and play a little bit before each class one day in high school. Every single one of my teachers, I took like how many classes I took? 6 classes. Every single one of my teachers let me play, said I could start the class by playing a little bit of my acoustic guitar for them. And everybody was just smacked away. They were just blown away. Everybody just loved it. I mean, that was my moment, you know. And when I'm okay, I'm not gonna get into the kids' names other than Dennis Hill. You can look him up. I don't know, whatever. I'm not trying to do anything like that. But I'm not gonna get into other kids' names. It's not nobody's business. But one of the kids heard me practicing during lunchtime for my next class's jam, and he just happened to walk in on me by accident. And he looked at me. He said, "Jimmy's great," and he started telling everybody, "Jimmy rocks." It went around the school. Because when these other kids like me, that puts me around the school. Next thing you know, I'm talked about. And yet Dennis Hill was in Toy Fox. It was the school's rock band, and there was always this rivalry between me and him. I kind of thought it was funny because I think I wanted to be him and he wanted to be me. It's kind of funny. We had a mutual admiration, but yet weren't happy with ourselves. We wanted to be the other guy. I liked he had long hair. I didn't. He liked that I was good in school. He wasn't. He probably liked that I knew that I was into licks that he couldn't understand. But I wanted to be in a rock band. That's a rhyme, by the way. I wanted his rock. I wanted to be in his band, kinda, and he wanted to play like me a little bit. But then he wanted to be school. He wanted to go to school and be good in school. I didn't, but I was, and he wasn't, and I don't know. It's kind of a little mutual rivalry there. Rivalry/admiration. Isn't that funny? Like you can be rivals and still have admiration for your rival. I just not figured that out. Well, it seems like I figured it out. Anyway, and as far as the Lisa James thing, there's some Jimmerator. When I would really call things like this, the editor would call me the Jimmerator for a second, and I said, "Oh, that's cool, thank you." There's some Jimmerator in me, and the Jimmerator says, "Lisa, I can't say it on YouTube, but go, get lost." Okay, sit on it, like they said in Happy Days. I'll sit on it. I don't even know what that means, but it was always a put down. I only lament the trouble it takes me to put you in the trash can and delete you, Lisa James. Hi, Pudge. Hi, Andy McKnight. Whatever. I'm not going to go on about it, even though I am going on. No. Okay, so I want to say that about my teacher, Tom Franks. Tom Franks was a badass. I don't know what's happened to him. I don't know anything about it. I don't know what's going on with him, but if he gets this video, thank you for being the right teacher for me. You handled me right, And then after he handed me Alan Holsworth and Al Di Meola, let me pick. Or who says I had to pick? I could have done both, but I did pick. And the next year, all he did was tell me about how to improvise. I've said this before. He just went on to me about improvisation and how to get there and why is it important and why do you improvise instead of just learning the solo. And I was as bored as heck. I just thought, oh man, when's he going to teach me something? Well, he was smart. He knew I could teach myself. But I needed to know this. This was what I needed to learn. And so out of respect for him, I would just sit there and listen. An hour, or however long lessons were, half an hour, 45 minutes, I don't even remember. Every week for a year, thinking, oh my gosh, this is so boring. Next thing you know, I don't know when it happened exactly, I ended up, it sunk in. It worked. I became an improviser. I learned how to improvise from him. I mean, it's one thing. I mean, these kids that come out of the womb playing guitar, I know they're supposed to be so fantastic. They don't impress me because I know they're not improvising. I know they're not playing their music. I know they're just playing with the tabs told their fingers to do. And yeah, they can smoke, but when it comes time to play their own stuff, they don't have anything because that's all they can do, is play what the tabs say. And their fingers, and there's no passion there, there's no knowledge there. It's all finger work. And I'm not impressed, whoever you are. I don't watch them. If I click on, I never click on them. If I do, it would be like a mistake. It'd be like my hand twitched or something. I just don't do it because it's a wormhole where now who's the youngest kid that can play the fastest? I don't care. They're not really playing with the spirit of rock and roll and the spirit of the improvisations that made that music actually happen in real time. It was not people with tablatures. It was people improvising rock and roll. And that's what my teacher taught me, and that's what I believe in. Love you guys. Peace, love, and rock and roll.